Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We will go all in on EGRX. We love that no one knows exactly what the share price is, and we love the solid candles on the chart.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check and it's gone.
Nice.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Laughing Stock. How are you today, Dane?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, finally on. We have some we have multiple issues today actually. We have some computer issues, we have some time zone issues, and or not time zones even, but just like I didn't know that my country has now changed the time this night, so I was sitting here waiting for Dane to get ready, and he was waiting for me. I thought I was late, so I apologize for being a bit late today, but stupid time differences and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's all good. I just I was like looking at my phone. I'm like, my phone says 6:45. I'm like, I shouldn't have to update this.
Yeah.
But
I see you have entered your Halloween room.
Yeah, this is the new room in the house.
Yeah.
That's Willie in the background.
Yeah. That's gonna be when is Halloween actually? Like a week? One more week?
Yeah, I think it's next Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Maybe we'll get some maybe Halloween is a catalyst in the market that we have been waiting for. I hope it will send the market up.
Well, speaking of sending the market up, Friday did just that. So
Yeah.
it seems like everyone appreciated the slightly lower interest rate, although we're still at almost 3%. So I think at this point, I'm just convinced that we're still printing so much damn money that like these markets just can't go down, because honestly, that inflation just trickles through the rest of the world and the stock market doesn't care. And it's not even that it's necessarily going up in price, it's just being inflated upwards. So I
I'm
don't think we
jumping
can go
into the
down.
chart. It's for me, I think the last 2 weeks or so has been rough. It's been very hard to stay in names for me. I see other people say the same, and so I think that's a issue that a lot of people are facing now. But we were just talking before stream that still things that I wasn't able to stay into the last 2 weeks have still gone up a lot, even the same day, you know. So it's been my execution that has been the issue instead of the process necessarily, which I think is a good thing, because at least I think you said the same thing, that at least we are spotting the right setups and all that stuff. But it's just been a bit hard, I think, and I'm down a little bit in the last 2 weeks. But like you say, I have the Nasdaq here. It's at all-time highs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at that chart and you can see it had higher lows leading up until this pop that broke above to a new high, and it makes me think this is going to go higher. I don't think we're at a peak. I know a lot of people thought that Friday where it dropped there was kind of the end or the top. And now that we've broken through that, I'm not convinced. I think this looks bullish. I think it's going to go further. And,
I
they
agree.
always say that about these kind of markets. They go longer than you think. And,
Yeah.
and then when it drops, it goes further than you'll think.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I thought that I was being careful in this period here. I went into cash, 100% cash positions multiple times. Also because I also got stopped out of things,
Mm.
But I was trying to protect the downside here, and then I probably moved into a few names a little bit too aggressive, and I might have done that again now. But the reason is on Thursday and Friday, I just saw so many setups actually, and I was thinking I saw some positive earnings report also. So it's earnings season now, and I have a feeling and I have a belief that we will see some companies crushing the earnings estimates, and that can even make the entire market skyrocket even more, until end of year. So I'm kind of agreeing with you that I'm not convinced that this is over.
Yeah, no, me either. I the one thing so I was talking to you quickly before this, but I'm just doing the numbers on my market strength because I didn't get them to do for Friday. And the one thing I'll say is the amount of breakouts that are happening on like 1 month highs and more recently are definitely lower. Things are definitely like tighter right now, so we'll see. It might expand a bit now that we are breaking to new highs and stuff's going to come back up, but it's it's definitely pulled back. So on the 1 month high, which I think is stuff that's got to have at least doubled is the way I have it set up. Hang on, let me just double check that real quick. Yes, it's stuff that has to have at least doubled. I only found 26 stocks that are at that rate, so it's very few, which is good because I mean it's less to look at. And I'm finding that maybe about half of those actually break out, and then about half of those carry through. So, um, these are typical like Kulamagi numbers in terms of breakouts that are going to succeed. You're talking 25 to 30%, low, very low. Um, so you have to play these just right, which is tough as always. But it does, the math still works out. I mean, if you're taking good setups, you can still hit 50% on these.
Yeah.
Now I can't because this last week didn't work for me either. Of course my one position that was going to work out was NEGG, and of course I got stopped out on that day. It hit 43, which just this is one of the things I've learned. So I had my stop set at, you have the chart up.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah, so that day so I took it right after it hit that 44.30. Um, Either that or I moved my stop up to the 44.30. I can't remember which one it was. I might have taken it before that. I don't think I took it that early on, but either way, it hit 43, which broke me out of my stop. But I either should have been using that 40.48 from like end of September, or I should have gotten back in, but it's tough because the day before it hits 43 and then the next day it takes off. So um really annoying because up 40% a day, and this was like a big position for me. So I ended the week up, or the week down, just about over 1%. And this I would have been at all-time highs. I would have been up to all-time highs if I just had this one stock hit. So
Yeah.
it's hit or miss. I'm not going to kill myself, like thinking that, I missed, just this one stupid thing. But it's annoying that that's how much your week can, depend on how good your approach is.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I've experienced the same with a couple of tickets. We can go through them a bit later, but I texted you because you mentioned this to me, and I'm texting you. I'm starting to think to myself that this is just how it is. But at the same time, I'm sure you can try to improve and, like you said, reflect on things that you could have adjusted to stay in these names, because these are the positions that matters, right?
Yeah, and so for instance, me taking this one early, um, I'm doing much more of a Minervini approach when you're going to take it early like this. This is not Q. I'm not waiting for it to hit like the next breakout. I'm
Yeah.
kind of cheating here a little bit by getting in and using a previous low. So it would have been a smaller position size based on that. But if I had stayed in it, then the idea would be I have that smaller position size, which is kind of like the probe. It's the way of like watching the stock essentially, and it's small risk because I'm not worried if it gets down to that 40 or whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But on Friday, what should have happened is I would have been in it, and then when it started to break out again, I would have taken another the other half of my position essentially, and
Yeah.
probably use like low of the day, like Q does, and then that way I would have had a full position ready to go for the day, and I probably would have moved my entire stop loss up to just low of the day, and which would have cushioned that second buy in, and it could have been a real winner for me. So something to reflect on. And like I said, I'm happy I'm seeing the setups because I definitely am.
Yeah. No.
Like this one seemed very clean to me. I know it was early. Don't get me wrong. I knew I was getting into it early, but that was kind of the idea: is take part of your position and wait for the breakout, and if it works, then you add to that position on that. But it's hard to predict that Friday's going to be that strong of a day too. It's by the time I logged on Friday, I didn't even get on right away because I was not expecting too much. But of course, super strong day, and
Yeah.
I didn't. I missed out on a lot. I did, and going through too, like you said, I'm looking at previous 1 year stocks, three months, 6 month, and I do see a lot of setups still. It's just are they going to carry through?
Yeah. No, I don't think we are alone here. Like I've seen a lot of talk about the respected traders that I follow. They say the same thing, but they have more success than I do so far. So they can take these misses a bit easier, perhaps, than when you and I are just starting to try to do this.
Right.
But it's also experience, right? The learning curve is pretty steep, and this is part of it. And I was gonna say we have seen this happen many times lately, since that Friday actually, when Trump sent the market down completely. That you have these breakouts, and then they turn against you, and then wait a week or so, and then the actual breakout comes. So that
Yeah.
I've seen that chart many times now, which also happened here in NEGG. So now it's a bit tricky. I see we have value here, Dane. He's saying
Hey,
morning,
what's
just
up, Alex?
past midnight here. Okay, another time zone. It's we are international now,
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to New Zealand, but
all over the globe. How
yeah,
are you,
worldwide.
Value? Haven't seen you in the chat for quite some time now. Hope you're doing well. Have you done any swing trading lately?
Well, he does. He's more value, anyways. I don't know how
Yeah,
much he actually is swing trading, but which it's a tough time to do value just because everything's so high.
yeah,
I listen to so many value podcasts still, and they just are always joking around how they like it's just not working a traditional value. And I just think that edge is gone right now in this high of a market where everyone's chasing momentum and whatnot. I think um, and the other problem too is like looking at like an overall index for value. I think that's insane. I don't understand how you can even have an index for value. I think that's the dumbest concept ever. But you got to really be looking. You got to be looking in the weeds.
yeah. I think I oh, Value saying I'm good. No, no swing trading lately. Just in PBI, PTLO, and USEG. Oh, you're in USEG. What is USEG
What you
doing?
take underneath there?
124. Okay. What was your entry there, Value? If you got it down here, that would be good timing.
Yeah, no 110. I mean,
We talked about USEG a little bit ago, right? Then and we saw the updates on what was it? Earnings report or something? No, they came with some news, some delusion,
No,
right?
it was. Remember they were raising cash, which
Yeah, raising
is
cash.
kind
Yeah,
of what made it a little scary.
around 117 value saying that's still a nice entry though.
Yeah, no, 117. I mean, 110 is the low right now. So like,
Yeah,
I think
110 between
117 is
110
solid.
and where it is now, anywhere there. I think if you still believe in this thesis, is um, a good area. I think to
I mean,
start
it hit
here at.
137 on Thursday, so it's pushing.
Yeah, you know they
But
were raising cash, but we didn't look into it in depth. But that messed a little bit with the thesis for us at least. But now we should probably read up how the situation is there. Do you have anything value that you are you updated on USEG? And then PBI. Been a while since we saw PBI too. Yeah, it's hanging. It's actually creating a big base here. PBI. What do you think, Dane?
hang on, I'm just pulling it up. Yeah, actually, it's a good time right now. That 100-day moving average caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's okay.
The only thing we have said it before, but the ADR is low on PBI. I know value is in it for like a deep value play, and so no swing trading play there. But and we know PBI from before. And there's a story there. There's people are driving the narrative forward with the board change and all that stuff. So yeah, no, PBI is always interesting.
Yeah, it looks
Great big
okay
move.
here. The only thing is, it's lower highs and the lower lows. So I'm not a huge fan of the flag down like that, but that doesn't mean it couldn't pop up here. I
Yeah,
see
it's like
sometimes
this.
it kind of capitulates to this point and then pushes higher if there's enough people who are interested. So the fact that it just dipped below the 100-day there and now it's pulling back up a little bit, that looks
Yeah,
pretty good.
they
It's
have
okay. It's okay.
earnings in 3 days. It says here on TradingView. So that's gonna
Yeah,
be interesting to
that'll make or
follow.
break it. Yeah.
Value saying just waiting to see how the helium plays out. Okay, in USEG. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
no, and that part of the thesis still stands because if that works out, trust me, I'll be in. If the USEG news comes out that the helium starts producing and everything seems on track, I'll probably still hop back in because
They
that
have
part.
earnings in a couple of weeks. That will be very interesting to hear that call.
Yeah, actually, I will be. I'll be tuning into that one because it's
Yeah,
still the deep value play I like.
yeah. And if they have some commentary on the time frames and all that stuff, while there was some question marks about why they had to raise cash. Maybe the news is out why they did it, but I'm sure he's going to speak about it on the call. So that will be interesting to hear.
Well, I also wonder too. The CEO's always talked about the fact that he's pushing it towards to be acquired, and
Yeah,
maybe by having some of these other people come in with their own capital, it makes other people interested in getting it acquired, and or even
yeah.
acquiring it themselves. They're kind of dipping their toe in the water, learning the business, and then they'll decide at some point maybe if they want to take it over.
I saw his last purchase was 12th of September, so he has kept buying a little bit since we were tracking it a bit closer.
Gotcha.
I'm just checking Whale Wisdom real quick here. There are some new positions, but not a lot of owners. So yeah, still a small company. And what was the last one? PTLO. Oh yeah, this could be like a deep value play, I guess. This chart looks pretty nasty.
What was the last one?
PTLO. He got crushed on one of the earnings reports in August. So yeah. Have you been in this for a long time, Value?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd have to look into the numbers on this one because this one is definitely that's a deep value chart for sure.
Yeah. I know, I'm just checking very quickly some ownership and stuff like that. I like the long-term potential of PTO. It's a recent buy just above 6 for me. Okay. So around here then. They also have earnings coming up in 9 days, according to TradingView.
Yeah, and PE at 12. I mean, that's pretty solid at this. Like, at this level, it's not bad. It's definitely isn't is Portillo's the restaurant from Chicago that everyone's like talking about trying to spread?
Yeah, it's restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah. This actually, I've heard a lot of good things about this place.
Okay.
I totally agree that this one they're trying to market this out and spread it throughout the United States. I think it's kind of in between a fast food and a
It says serve street food through high energy multi-channel restaurants designed to ignite the senses and create a memorable dining experience.
yeah. I hear they're very popular wherever they are. So I've
Yeah.
never been to one, but I'm actually surprised it's sold off this much. I wonder why. Maybe the initial numbers aren't as good or something, but
Well,
from what I've heard is this is a good place.
they seem to have like, according to TradingView, this is not always accurate, but they seem to beat the EPS estimates on all the earnings the last past year, but they miss on the revenue.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. Maybe it's tough to get the places up and running and all that stuff. Value saying, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
I
one
think
big following.
yeah, this is definitely something interesting in terms of a deep value play. Because the other thing too is I believe that each store someone I was listening to was talking about this place, and they were saying each store like it just like produces like a ridiculous revenue. Like it's revenue compared to like other stores of like similar like that kind of in and out service. This place is like murdering other places. So and I think another thing that they hold really important is like keeping the cost like reasonable, you know. And I'm looking at their pricing right now. I'm just up on a menu, and compared to a lot of places, like this is definitely a decent price for most of these things. It's not too crazy. Um,
Just checking Seeking Alpha. There's some news like Portillo's lower sales expectation as McDonald's focus on value weighs on the restaurant sector. So maybe the sector is beaten down a little bit right now. I see they
excuse
are
me.
going through some leadership transition. Yeah, and there's like I expected a little bit lower sales moving forward. Huge debt loads and lower growth of profitability is quite a bad mix. Or that's maybe also the opportunity, that we look for as deep value investors.
Yeah, well, I think a big change is just getting these kind of things to spread out. I like I said, I think they were in the Chicago area initially. So
Yeah,
as you leave a market like that, you go to new places. Like it takes a while for like everyone to start to try it and it adapt, and all of a sudden it becomes like a name that like people want to go to.
yeah. There's some commentary here that says the opposite, but this is just personal opinion, so I don't know. I've never seen one of these.
Yeah, I've never been, so I
Yeah,
honestly can't say. But interesting play though. I'll say that.
yeah, yeah. Cool value. Keep us updated then on how these are going, because straight away you see that this is a deep value chart.
No, I know. That's why it's good to have value in here, because he keeps bringing up the deep value stuff. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I said the same thing. I think one of the reasons why swing trading's become so like I don't know, like interesting to me is because like I don't need to spend so many hours. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy deep value. I really do like looking up the companies and learning and trying to figure that side of things out. It's just right now with how much time I have, ever since I had the kids, it's just so hard to sit there and just have the time to read 10 Qs all day. So
Yeah, that is true. But no, good picks. I know PBI, you've been in them for a while also, Valley. So I remember I bought PBI first time many years ago after I read some Justin articles, of course. But I think the price was $4. Should have just hold. It's
that's always what
11
you should
now.
do in hindsight.
Yeah. But
You're talking
okay.
about BlackBerry. I remember
Oh,
when the whole GameStop thing happened. One of my friends owned BlackBerry. Like, let me look at the 10-year monthly here. Um, I think he got in, as it had dipped and then taken off around probably like $5. And he's like, I'm not selling, because you remember how it like jumped up to like 30 and he never sold,
yeah.
and he rode it all the way down here. And I talked to him like probably the start of this year or the end of last year, and he's like, never selling, never selling. And now it's almost back up to his cost basis. And I just think
Yeah.
it's so funny to see someone hold something for 5 years like that and be like, nope, I'm holding it.
But I have to say, I took BlackBerry on Friday as a swing trade.
Oh no, I remember you saying, trust me, it looked good.
Yeah, I've never seen a more perfect cop, I think, in a chart before.
Yeah, no, it looks good right now. I mean, if it can break out, Wednesday
I
was a definite it was a shakeout day, like a trick,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the fact that a lot of times you see it spike up like that, and then within a few days it pushes right out. There's
yeah,
enough
because
buying.
it could have been like some market condition that sends it down again. I think my timing on this on Friday was wrong. I got in a bit too high, and then of course straight after I buy it, what happens then? It goes back, right? Turns down.
Yeah, actually, I used to buy stuff. I tried to buy stuff right at open, and I
Yeah,
do not do that anymore. I usually
no,
wait
it's hard. Yeah,
probably 15, 20 minutes, and then I
yeah,
really start looking where I'm going to buy, because that first 15 minutes is just nuts. And like
yeah,
you do lose on some of the names that skyrocket right away, but even those names, a lot of times they pull back at some point during the day.
yeah,
And yeah, you might not be able to get in, with as big of a position size at that point, but you can at least get in the name and stay in it, because honestly,
yeah.
that's a huge part. Just staying in the name. It's
Especially right
let
now.
alone getting a decent position size in it.
Yeah, but I like a couple of things with it. Of course, the pattern. Then you see, there's a lot of buying, in this period, and then probably some overhang, some overhang in the stock on these levels. But so there could be some resistance if it even breaks up from here. But I think the company seems to pretty much deliver, pretty good numbers on each earnings in the past year. So maybe they are coming back a little bit. So now I decided to try it on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, see, and this is the trick is, you get chicken out of one like this. It doesn't mean you can't take it again. Like
Yeah, no,
the obvious resistance is right at 5. Like,
yeah.
if this hits 5, it's a good time to probably get in there. So, um,
But there was some good volume coming in here also in the around the recent earnings. So and they are not so much down on their position. So if these people buying here is the same people that were buying back in January, uh, I can read it as they are adding to the position and averaging down a bit. So that should be good then moving forward. But let's see.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, and just that pop last November to February. I mean, super strong move. So ever since that point, like, we're kind of waiting. This has been in a long. It's not the most perfect looking chart, but like you said, this recent cup and handle looks pretty clean.
Yeah,
I mean, I
and some
don't think
volume
you can
coming
see it.
in. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is a 4-month cup and handle.
yeah. I've never seen a better cup in hand.
As long as that handle forms, that's the thing right
Yeah,
now.
it needs to come, of course. But yeah, no, that was one I took. I was speaking to you, Dane, before the stream. I tried iRobot 2 times on Friday and got stopped out both times. I tried to get into with a heavier position, a 20% position, because the chart kind of allowed me to do so. And then I got stopped out. I tried it a bit later. I got stopped again. And then, of course, during the day, it goes up 19%, and I'm not in it. So that was a bit similar to what you experience in NEGG. And I also saw there was another one. I can't even remember right now which one it was, but I had a similar. No, it was LUMN, right? LUMN. I tried to get LUMN here on Thursday because it had news, some positive news. They were doing deal with Palantir or something, and the stock didn't move. And then it started to fall a bit, and it shook me out. And I tried it again. I got stopped 2 times on this as well. Same scenario. I tried to get in with a 20% position, and then I'm getting stopped at twice in a day, and I kind of gave up on it, And then
Loom is a perfect flag.
Yeah, and then it started after me, and then also the next day went up. It did pull back, but it did end the day up almost 4%. So, yeah, two frustrating tries for me this week that just left me out completely.
Yeah, speaking of perfect flags, the other one that this is reminding me of that I didn't take, and I've been watching it, and it was just because on Friday I felt like I was a little bit too late, and of course it went up another 30% from when I looked at it was DVLT. I thought this one was a pretty clean flag, and it was around, I don't know, I think it was around like 290 or 280 or something. I saw it. I don't remember, somewhere. Maybe it was a little bit below that too, and I didn't want to take it, and it had already ran up 20%, and of course it goes up another 30, and I'm like, oh, you idiot, you've been watching this, the setup looks good, and it broke out, and you still didn't take it. So this one was a dumb one on my part. I definitely could have played this, but like I said, I'm seeing the names. It's I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I'm like looking at a name, and within like a week or two, it's a stock that's up 50-60%, and I'm like, okay, so like at least I'm seeing it now. It's obviously execution that I need to work on, but
I think,
but I'm honing down to the names that are working, which is, I guess, the thing I need to keep focus on.
Yeah, you just told me before the stream that you are trying to just throw away good setups and take the excellent setups,
Yeah, no, because it's not just the excellent setups, but it's like the charts that look really clean. Like everyone can see it. Like that's almost what I'm trying to say is like when you look at the chart, I don't get me wrong, it's always easier to see it after it broke out. But when you look at the chart, it should just look like super clean, like super clear that this could break out. And those are the ones I want in my watch list. I don't want the ones that are choppy. I don't want the ones that look like okay, I just want the ones that like at any given point, if I showed it to you and I said, does this look good? You'd immediately say yes without any more thought.
Yeah.
And if you're watching those names and they start to break out, like that should be an immediate take.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I was going to say, like, it was a bit funny for me to hear you say that, because I've also decided, I started on this work a couple of weeks ago, but to throw away charts that looks too messy, in my opinion, from my list, even though they fit all the other criteria. I just look for more linearity and clean charts, like you said. I need that tightness now, and my my point with that was to try to take out all the randomness from my process that I can. And I think I will continue with that process in terms of filtering out even more stuff. And I think one big problem I've had since I started this is that I have kind of just traded the setups too often instead of looking a bit, further into, okay, which group is this in? Is it a leader? What else are the other stocks doing in that group? Is there some news? Like, I need to improve, the deeper thinking about the positions, which has been a bit hard for me because when the market opens, I'm rushing home from my other work and getting into the computer, and even if I did the preparation the day before, if things change over the night, then it's not so easy for me to pay attention during the day, and then things get a bit stressful, and then that allows some randomness to come into the process, I think, and this is a area that I need to focus more on.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, I part of my mishap or something that I did for a while that I realized afterwards I shouldn't have been doing is, if I'm looking at this stuff that's up over the past year or year and a half, you're looking through all these charts, and you see multiple times the stock breaks out, and some of them are really obvious, and then the other ones are a little bit trickier. And I was trying to learn the nuance of the trickier ones, and like, why am I doing that? You're making it harder. Like, you don't need to take every trade that goes out there that looks like it could break out, because you're going to find a bunch of them that don't. So instead of focusing on the trickier setups and being like, oh, well, this one, if it had, it had just these little signs, and if I would have noticed those, I probably could have caught this one. Like, just look at the ones that are very clean, very obvious. It's going to narrow down your search. It's going to narrow down the ones you're looking at. And most likely you'll have a higher hitting percentage, which is all that matters, because depending on what your risk return rate is, I mean, everything I've looked at, if you're hitting, a risk return rate of 3-1, you still have to have like a 40% hit rate to really perform.
Yeah.
If you're doing more like Q's numbers where you're hitting 4 to 5% or 4 to 5 times your risk, then you can go down into like 30%. And when Q says he's hitting only 25%, your risk return needs to be like at least 6 times or something. It's got to be high for that to really outperform. So those aren't easy to get, and I know that's also a part of why he holds for the 10-day moving average, because you really have to capture big swaths of moves to get 6 times your R, and we're just keep that number really low. But the lower you keep that number, it also limits your upside because you're taking smaller position sizes. So you kind of have to find that sweet spot where you know what your hit rate is and you know how much you're getting on average, to determine that. But these are all like the little things that come into it. And I will say, I've actually been, I guess, swing trading now for almost exactly a year, or it's been a year now. So
Yeah.
in 1 year, I've learned a ton, and I have to just stay focused on that fact that, don't get me wrong, my whole fundamental background I think is going to give me a real edge here, because I can understand what a news story is and why it actually will affect the stock. And it's just good to see what the fundamental people are doing, because big investment firms and stuff like that, if they're buying a lot of this, it's for a reason. And
Yeah.
the other thing I really need to do, is add a bit more of that fundamental research back in, and nothing crazy, but just like how Minervini and Q say, like, you can pull up a stock and the setup looks good and it's already up like a little bit. Like, have the revenues been increasing over the past few years? Have the earnings been increasing? Is there any new news? Like, just checking those 3 things, um, might help your selection process just that bit, where you increase that hit rate by 5 to 10%. It makes all the difference.
Yeah. And I saw someone posted on X a video about Kulamagi also saying, like, I think he said, I don't remember the numbers, but I think it was 80% of the good setups I see, I don't take them because they are not good enough,
Right.
and that comes with experience, of course. And also he has done a ton of his own research and back testing and all that stuff, so he knows what differentiate, like what we are talking about. He can quickly identify the excellent ones, which he
Yeah.
rates from 4-star to 6-star or whatever his system is. And that's just, this is where I need to move, further towards moving forward, I think, in my process.
And yeah, it's not to say it's easy to do, because it's definitely
No.
not. It's hard, honestly, to be able to not take those other 80%. And that's what I'm saying is, um,
And
there's
that's
like you said,
him.
there's probably 80% of setups that are great, but they're not excellent. And if your hit rate on that 80% is only, 20% or something like that in terms of it following through and actually becoming a winner, you shouldn't be taking those ones, even though they look really good.
Yeah. And keep in mind also that he claims he's overtrading, and that has been a big issue of him all the time, but he's overtrading then on, excellent setups that still doesn't work out, probably.
Yeah, or great setups, which, just goes to
Yeah.
show you how picky you have to be.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, but like you said, like after we have had this bull run now for quite some time, half a year or whatever it is, you can go back and look at charts, and of course it's very easy to spot them now in hindsight, but also that's the ones you should study and look for the next time, because I have
For
done
sure.
that with heaps of charts, and there are like multiple ones that build very clear setups in terms of what we are looking for, that I just am kicking myself like, what did I do at this point to not notice this? So hopefully I
Yeah.
can notice this in the next bull run that we're going to get, or if the market continues to go higher and things are starting to build new bases or new themes emerges and all that stuff, maybe I can spot it then, but this will be the key moving forward to go into them. And like you said also, if you see that clear setup, maybe you have the that you are brave enough then to also take a little bit of a bigger position in total, or decide to add to it if it goes your way and stuff like that, because your conviction is a little bit higher than just some random setup that you took.
Yeah, it's, all that stuff matters. So
Yeah. And I think
it's
if you also go back and look at the stream, we have talked about a few of them, these types of setups. Bitcoin was one of them. That was pretty clear, Bitcoin in this area here, 9 of July. That is pretty obvious, and we were talking about it on. I think I even posted in Discord. Okay, this didn't move so higher after this, but this is a clear setup. I think Rigetti is another one here.
all
Here,
the AI or quantum stocks.
yeah, they have multiple ones of them also so far, But look at Rigetti here, Tuesday, 9 of September. In my opinion, this is the day you should have gone in, and that would be a fantastic trade for you if you took it here.
Yeah, that's the
In a
kind of day I smack myself and I say, "Hey, what were you doing on this day?
Yeah, no, I agree.
You
And
weren't buying Rigetti."
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how could I miss? I even had Rigetti on the radar, so I
To
don't
be
know.
honest, looking at that candle on that day, I'm like, you could have bought that at the end of the day. Who even
Yeah,
cares?
yeah, no. And even if you missed it, you had Friday, 12th of September.
Yeah, you have the next 5 days to
Yeah,
buy it,
yeah,
and still you'd perform very well.
yeah.
So it's
So
yeah, no, trust me,
it's
I'm there with you.
and for me, one that I did do this on recently was Rocket Lab. I think, and I saw a lot of other people, good traders. They said they tried to take it on these days that it already had broken up, and then it turned back on them. So I understand that for a lot of people, this has been a bit of a choppy base that didn't work out for them. But I discovered it a bit later here when it started to put in these tight candles. And this is a clear setup in my eyes now, and maybe it's even setting up here again where it is right now. But this one actually, I saw it and I took it, you know. So I think my eyes are able to spot this more clear moving forward, hopefully. But then also, I also need to work on my process in terms of screening. I think because I have tried to reflect a little bit in July. I missed a lot of tickers, and I think they just didn't pop up on my radar. But Rigetti and them, they were on my radar, so there's no excuse about those. But it's all things you can improve.
Yeah, so like I said, it is what it is.
Yeah, we are learning.
Slowly.
Yeah, yeah, slowly. Bear with us, but the raw results will come. That's what we
Something
hope
like
for.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was I gonna say? Hey, you might. I just gotta use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can go through my my list here while you're going.
All right, be right back. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So I took I was on Friday. I added a ton of tickers actually to the watch list because things were moving, coming back a little bit from dropping a little bit in earlier in the week and also the previous week. So then the lines I had drawn on, they were still valid because things moved into the base again. So I was keeping some names on my list. Maybe too many actually, because it was too many things to pay attention to while I was, the market was opening and a lot of things were going on. But these were some of them. STRL, I didn't end up taking it, mostly due to the volume that came in. It wasn't fantastic volume from the opening, so it was a bit slow. So and it also moved up 7%, I think, straight from the opening. So I didn't want to chase it, which I felt I was gonna do. So maybe I was a bit late in this one. BW still within the base. I've drawn on M and MD, same there. AVAV looks interesting a little bit here, but bit extended. But I did like all this volume coming in on these days. So yeah, ATAI. I was in them a bit around here. I think I was in them and made some money. I got stopped out. So, but it's moving up nicely. Making these stair steps, pretty clear ones. There's a lot of these are gonna. I have to kick some of them out, because they have already gone up, and I don't want to chase. CTMX. Some of them also pulled down again. UAIM is Dane's favorite ticker, which also is one of those that have been having multiple good setups during this bull run that you should have taken, but it's not so easy. PROK looks good here. The biotech. Let's see where this will come in the next week. Some of these, this is probably a bit extended for me. You see, already up 100%. It's almost 6 times above, 6 times its ATR percentage above the 50-day moving average. So I would prefer if this base can continue to develop and move sideways a bit so the 50-day can catch up before I enter it. But yeah, maybe it will do that. So that's why I keep it on the list, because then it looks interesting. But I kind of like these last 2 candles here though. AMSC has been one of these that broke down and then bounced back up into the base again. It has earnings soon though, so let's see. iRobot I have to kick out because this is too late now. Kicking myself. I like I said, I tried it twice. Tesla I was interested in because Tesla had a poor move on the earnings report. It fell and then it bounced back pretty strong, just to give it all away the next day again. So I don't know how to read this on Tesla. Maybe it's going to be negative for a while. But Tesla is another chart that I look back at and I was like, this is a pretty clear breakout entry. And once again, I followed Tesla in this period. So I don't know. I'm missing a few trades, that's for sure. Moss, I added them on Friday to the list because bit tight these candles now. It's not too extended. ADR is good. Up here on volume, you know, the RS is about to cross over again to the upside RS line. So if this can break out on volume, it will be interesting. Also 370 market cap. So this has some, you know, room to go before it starts. And then the positions I took was in LITE, LITE. I entered a little bit high up, but I think, and I tried it also here, but I got stopped on this day. And then the next day it bounces up a bit. And I took it on based on this. It was kind of breaking out from this. And it moved a little bit higher, but I was a bit late in this one probably. I just hope it doesn't turn on me now, because if you go back and look at the weekly, you know, it looks a bit extended here, but also this there's no resistance. This can move higher, I think. And clean chart, you know, very linear, very tight. I took Ron, probably a mistake because it did pull back, and it also pulled back on these former breakouts. So I'm not sure if that was the right move. I have my stop loss here at the low of day on this day, so I have I'm not sure what kind of feeling I have about Ron, but they looked good. They looked good in the beginning of the day, but then the volume completely dried off. You see, it only had 65 in R volume, which is low, but at the beginning of the day, it went quickly to 20. So it looked good. It looked like the volume was coming in, but then it just dried up during the day. And I was debating myself if I should just go out again, but I decided to stay in it. Could be a mistake. Let's see. Hey, Dane.
Hey, yeah, sorry, just getting back.
Just going through the positions and the watch list. WDC, I'm almost stopped out already. I have no room to go here on Friday, so the only option for me is that it will open, positive. But I had a very tight stop loss here because it was a little bit of a bigger position for me. It's not a 20% position, but it's a little bit above 10. So I'm a bit, maybe a mistake as well. And then the BlackBerry, like I told you, I'm break even on that one. So BlackBerry, I'm more happy with. So the ones I'm happy with so far is LITE and BlackBerry, of the ones I have now. But it's funny because earlier in the week I was 100% cash. What are you in now, Dane? Are you in something?
Yeah, hang on, let me So I'm in some of these names for a little bit. I'm looking back and I don't know how much I like this one, but it's ANGX, Angel Studios. So it's kind of a stock that had cratered for a while, had really strong buying and pulled back. And then it's been kind of moving sideways here. So I had set my buy here at what do you call it? I actually got in at
Monday maybe.
6.99.
Yeah.
And I have my stop loss set at 640. So just using that low there.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me just pull back up that. Yeah, so to me, it just looks like it's basing nicely here. That's honestly what I'm looking at. And there's this contraction in volume right now. I will say the 10-day moving below that 20 makes me not love this setup. And it could dip below 640 again. So I might have my actual stop. It's like 639 because sometimes I like to put it right below the whatever the low was in the chart. And yes, so you'll notice I've been taking a lot of cheats lately, just trying it out, which I think the hit rate is maybe just low enough that I'm going to stop doing this and go back right to breakouts. But
Yeah.
the problem is like NEGG, for instance, would have been a huge win for me by doing this strategy. So like it only takes like one or two of these names if you catch it on the pullback. And not even like a big pull. I'm not saying I'm getting on the pullback. I'm waiting for it to rebase or something like that. I'm not really buying, like I'm not buying at 640. Um, I think you're a bit of a mad lad if you're attempting that. But even at 669, I mean that's much closer. And if this can break out towards the $10 mark there, who knows how high it can go? I mean, this was just at $50 last time it went up. So but it was also just at $3. So
Yeah. But big
comes and
ADR,
goes.
like you say.
I retook CGTX here. Kind of a similar pattern. It's been down a little bit, but it looked like it had been moving sideways. And like I said, a lot of these are more like the pullback type style. I had some of these names from last week, so I'm not necessarily going to continue with these, but one thing I will say is by focusing on the pullback side of buying things, it's really made me appreciate the breakout side as well, because I see these things pull back and I see them rebound, and it kind of like gives you this idea when you're looking for breakouts, like how had this just looked on a pullback? Because if it was a good buy at the pullback and then it breaks out from there, those are usually pretty good indicators of a strong breakout stock. So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird focusing in on the backward side of things, but in the same time, it's made me like just look at things differently, essentially. So obviously, this one's the stops at 159. So I had just taken this one on Thursday.
Yeah.
So this one's a little bit bigger of a position just because I was able to get in somewhat tight there. So we'll see if that one holds. What do you call it? Next is CRML, which I was in this on the last time it broke out. This is I'm trying something new here. It's kind of like in the more of the parabolic type chart, but I've seen this work out a ton, which is why I'm testing this. So this one's a small position for me, just because I like to see how these ones work. So you'll notice when this one pulled back, it hit that 10-day moving average, and the next day it did pull down, but it bounces off that pretty strongly. And I've noticed it usually will bounce off that 10-day and go right back up to where it had broken out or where it had previously been at highs if it's the right stock for it. If it's not, a lot of times it goes down to the 20-day moving average and does the same thing. It bounces off of it.
Yeah.
So I took it here just this is like I said, I'm just testing this one.
So you
But I
took
do
it on
see
Thursday.
no, actually I took it on Friday.
Okay.
Because I want to see it actually bounce off of it.
Back up.
I don't like to take it necessarily the day of. You can, don't get me wrong, it's probably the better thing to do, but it's harder to say on Thursday, especially because it ended the day below it.
On Thursday, I will have to say though that it had very little volume actually coming in. I only have like half the average volume, so
Right, and that's a
that's
good sign,
also
obviously, because that's
that's a
almost
good
its
sign. Yeah.
contraction.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so you know how I was just saying off the 10-day. So the 10-day, you see how that candle dipped below, but then ended the day above it.
Yeah.
So that would have been more of a day like that one. I probably could have got an in off the 10-day, where on the 20-day it ended the day below it, and then it wasn't until yesterday or Friday, I should say, that it
Okay.
bounced above it. So that's the nuance of why I would go in on Friday versus Thursday for that one.
Yeah.
GWH is another one I've taken here, which is kind of that similar setup. This one's actually moving sideways. So we'll see if it can bounce up from here. I just like the fact that like it's pulling this sideways here. So once again, you'll see these charts, some of these similar type of charts, and these are a little dangerous because it is a bit of a pullback from that parabolic jump. So I might find that if I see this pattern, the better thing to do is wait for it to bounce and like actually take out like for here, for instance, if this starts to form a base here, and let's say the base is around like 520 or 530, wait till it actually breaks out above that, and then use that as my way to get back in on these. But like I said, I've been looking at so many different charts, and I've seen this pattern work a ton. And it has to be a really high parabolic stock. So it has to be one that within the last like week or two went up. Like this went from $2 to like $10. So
Yeah.
it has to be one of those stocks that makes a massive move, pulls back, and then it kind of bounces again before I'm not going to say that this will break to all-time highs again. It may. I mean, if it does, great. But if not, it tends to pull back, and it will have like a good 2-day bounce, maybe even just a 1-day bounce, but it can bounce like 50% a day. So this one would be a little bit shorter. So like I said, as you learn these charts too, you have to kind of learn the nuance of each style of chart. I probably wouldn't hold this for a 10-day moving average if this bounces. Now, if it breaks to all-time highs, sure, maybe I will. But if it doesn't and it just has like a 1-day bounce and then like the next day it starts to pull back, I'll probably just I'll just set a tighter stop as it hits that end of the day. And if the next day if it opens up and it's up, great. If not, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
The next one is ONMD. I
One
just
more
thought this
time.
one had formed a little bit of a tight flag, and if it can break out from here,
Then what was the ticker?
ONMD. It's one MedNet.
I don't get it. ONNV?
ONMD.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, same type of chart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this one's a bit more of a flag. Like it's really formed a base around 230-ish.
Yeah.
So this is one
Volume really
like
drying up in the base too.
yes. So like you're seeing, I'm looking for that contraction phase.
Yeah.
And part of the reason I'm really focusing on the contraction phase is because I'm really making it so whatever the low is compared to where my buy is determining my position size. I didn't used to do that. I used to have a set position size, and I realized I think that's a huge mistake to do it that way.
Yeah.
It really should be more based on what your actual risk is per play. So I've been really focusing on that. Whether it's Zanger, Minervini, Kulamagi, they all use that. So, to me, it's like that's the obvious way to do it instead of just saying I'm taking a 5 or 10% position size and just sticking with that. Focus on what your actual risk is and where you can get in. It also kind of helps determine because if I go to get a name and I can't even get a 2% position in it because of the spread on it, like it's not worth taking that. Just because then your risk to reward plummets so much. So that's another one. I'm still in PEPG. This it's kind of peeling down here. Obviously, my low is at that 436 there.
What
So
was
I'm
the
hoping
ticker?
it's PEPG, PEPG, PepGen, pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
So this one's just kind of that straight flag sideways. It is down a little, but the 20-day and the 10-day have caught up here. So I'm just seeing if it can bounce off that low there. Once again, volume's totally dried up. So, but you'll notice these are all big performers. I mean, these are stocks that have moved big moves in the past month or a few weeks. So it's one of the things I'm focusing on. I noticed that if you're really going to catch stocks that make really big moves, they kind of happen all at once, and then there's big down periods in between. So you kind of have to look for these guys
Yeah.
for that to work out. Um,
This is why I create a list of big movers like this who gets extended, and I put them into the list, and I wait for them to build bases. And if they break down and below the 50-day moving average, I kick them out of the list, just to see if
yeah,
something starts to build, consolidate, and give me a good setup.
and just doing that and it's good practice. It makes you focus on charts that work and have higher quality setups essentially. And
Yeah.
then the last one I'm in is Wolf. Just WOLF, not WU. It's the O
No,
one.
I was gonna ask you.
Yeah, no, I know because they are close and they both are kind of breakout stocks. So
Yeah.
I do see both at times.
Yeah.
So
This
obviously,
one,
if you name your stock after a wolf, you're in a good shape.
this one changed the chart view in trading view is it changed for some reason, so I don't have the entire chart.
Yeah, this one, I mean, it had just had a huge move from 2 to 20 some dollars up to 35, and now it's at 30. It's super contracted, and the 20-day just caught up.
Were they acquired or something?
No, I think it was just in the semiconductor realm. So just it's usually the buyout ones, those don't even move. Those just run sideways for
Yeah.
forever.
They were
But
yeah, there was some
this is this is this is
bankruptcy.
this is kind of funny to me. The news headline on Yahoo Finance says it's made headlines with a 33.9% year-to-date return, a 70% debt reduction following its exit from bankruptcy. So analysts are debating its valuation with estimates suggesting a potential undervaluation of nearly 91%. So like they have no idea. They have no idea. The analysts are arguing over a 91% spread. And that's a joke of a number.
But
So I'm
they
making a
do,
bet we're under
yeah.
90%.
They do of course matter. That's how the market are put together, that people listen to the analysts, but how many times have we spoken about it? How many times have we seen that they are missing like tremendously?
Yeah, well, and the honestly, the analysts trail the price.
Yeah.
If the price goes down, past
They
the
just,
analyst's
yeah,
target, they lower their target.
they
If it goes
lower
up,
it.
they raise their target. It's a joke. I mean, honestly, no offense, most of those guys, your job's a joke. Like, don't get me wrong. There's really good analysts out there,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
can give like really great information about a company and probably can pretty accurately price it.
yeah.
But then I would say most of it, especially on some of these companies, like this coming out of bankruptcy, how do you
I don't,
how do you determine what this is valued right now?
I don't know if
Tell,
I
tell me your
I think
metrics. Like,
I think I've told this story before, but I don't remember. I think it's a live a real example of how this works. Like there was a Norwegian investor, very successful, that were monitoring a stock, and he couldn't understand why is this dropping so much, because it dropped from one day to another. And then he figure out, like, he's connected, so he can call whoever he wants. So he made some phone calls, and he figured out, oh, it's dropping because of a report that from an analyst that were like just crushing the stock. And then he tried to figure out, who is this person who have written this report. I want to speak to the person so I can understand the thesis. So he back and forth, he managed to get the analyst's phone number, and he called her. It was a brand new, what do you call it, she just got hired, and this was her first report, and it went public, and it sent the stock price down. And he said, like, after he hung up the phone on her, he just bought so much shares, because he understood that this is just completely wrong. She's very new in her job. She doesn't understand all the things, and she had that impact on the market. And he was right. The stock turned up again, and he made a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of stuff happens all the time. So
Yeah,
you can't assume that just because someone's an analyst that they know anything. Now, if it's someone who, like you said, has been in the, like let's say they're following a certain company and they've been doing it for 5 to 10 years, like yeah, they probably know their shit.
yeah,
But yeah, there's new people get assigned to stuff all the time, and who
yeah,
knows? Who knows what these accounts are saying? I will say on that Wolf one, I'm looking, like it's extended from the 50-day, but that's also it is what it is. It had a huge move, so
yeah,
it's going to be extended.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Maybe it won't work out, and this will break down from here. But I just like the contraction. Like I said, I keep looking for that contraction phase. On some of these ones that contract, you're able to take a little bit larger position size with very low risk.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason I'm in that. But that's what I'm in right now.
Yeah, good. Was you at just cash at some point these last 2 weeks?
Yeah. Oh, on Thursday I was mostly cash.
Yeah,
Once I got knocked out of NEGG, that was my last like bigger position.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I have taken all those between Thursday and Friday. So I'm in. Was that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names? So, um, I have some stuff in, but a lot of these are smaller positions because, like I said,
yeah,
I'm still trying some stuff, and uh, like I said, I had mixed results with the pullback idea. But the thing is, every time you hit a pullback one, like I said, it's a big return. It's
yeah.
usually pretty successful. So you just have to. I'm just kind of weighing it out, but I still see breakouts no matter what are the easier way of doing things. They're you're going with the trend, you're going with the strength. So obviously all that makes a lot of sense. It's pretty easy to argue that strategy no matter what.
So yeah, no, I saw there was some tariff news on Canada again. I don't know how the market's gonna open up on Monday, but I have a feeling like we started the stream off with, and of course a feeling doesn't matter for anyone, but yeah, I think we will see a strong finish to the year right now, but in a week I can completely change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can go off of is what the Nasdaq or whatever you follow S&P looks like right now, and I would argue it looks strong. So,
And it
like I
doesn't
said,
it
keep going.
yeah, no, it doesn't seem to react so negative on anything really.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is like
Yeah,
that you people can say whatever they want, but I don't know. It doesn't look to me like it's really done anything here. It looks like we had possibly terrible news. This is the thing. And I think I see it all the time. Like, on that Friday it had dropped was because Trump was talking about adding another 100% tariffs. The market
yeah,
pulls back 'cause of the news, and then he backs off because he doesn't want to tank the markets in any way like that. So I just think it gets to a point where I, I think his goal is, and this would be rather intelligent if this worked, is get people so immune to the fact that he can say he's going to put 100% tariffs on China, and then people don't affect the stock market because they don't really believe him. And then he has a little bit more weighing power to keep that in place with China, because right now he puts it out there, the stock market pulls back. Well, he's got to kind of pull back his stance because he doesn't want the stock market to tank. So I feel like he's playing this game where he's trying to get it where he can say something like that, not tank the markets, and then at that point he can use it as a little bit more of as a strong arm to how China's and the United States economic war is going, whatever you want to call the thing. Um, whether that's the right thing to do is the whole different debate. But in terms of us trading, I look at it as in it sucks because it makes it choppy, makes it tough.
yeah. We just have to wait and see. The opinions can change very quickly in swing trading, I see, and you just work from the information you currently have and try to interpret it the best way you think so. But I have seen though there are some new themes coming up right now, some in some medical fields, and also oil looks pretty good. Like a lot of oil tickers and energy are starting to show themselves a bit, so but most of them has a little bit of a lower side on the ADR, from what I from the stuff I have in the lists. But I think that's worth keeping an eye on moving forward. Just like if some new themes occur maybe at the end of the year here, and you can have some success trading those themes.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, yeah, so, as always, just still honing my process and everything here, but I think I keep figuring out ways to slowly improve what I'm doing here. It's still been so much testing and so much learning that, like I said, I've not done too great the past few months. I've had a few wins here and there, but um just a lot of small setbacks.
Yeah.
So, that's like I said, that's something I really got to work on. The death by 1,000 cuts is real.
And it doesn't matter how tight your stop loss is, it's gonna kill your portfolio if you don't change it around.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but another stock that I was looking at that I didn't take is IVVD. That one had a perfect flag.
That was the one I
And
talked about, and the one I also didn't take on that Monday,
oh,
uh,
gotcha.
because it went up on low volume.
On Monday, or
Yeah, on Monday.
yeah, and then it pulled back too, so that was probably the right thing.
Yeah. No, I
And
think.
then Friday looks pretty good.
Are you talking about the recent one? I see 15% on Friday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it did break out, and it is that high tight flag, and yeah, there was a lot of shakeouts there, but
Yeah.
that pullback, and then Thursday being a pretty strong rebound day off the 10-day,
Yeah.
um, that's all good signs that as that 10-day starts to push up towards the top of that flag,
Yeah.
that's a pretty obvious sign of a breakout about to occur.
Yeah. I just remember last stream we talked about Unro, right?
Oh,
ANRO.
shoot me. That's what I'm saying, is like I see all these ones and it's like I keep missing them and I'm like,
we
oh
we
my
were
God.
showing we were showing this on the stream, and then comes Monday, and you have no chance to like who the hell knows how far this is gonna go on that Monday. So it was very hard to get into it, but I'm sure there was some. If you look at the intraday charts, you could have probably found an entry, but it just, how much was it up in pre-market? 50% or something?
I don't know, but yeah, I don't know, but if you would have used low of the day, that's like another thing I'm thinking about now. Like on these ones that gap up like that, instead of using like, worrying about it being up 20%, use low of the day as your stop, because that's how you can get into these ones, even if they're up 30-40% at open. Um, and obviously that way you can position size for it without taking the risk on if you use your low of the day. And it still went up another 40% from there. So it would have worked fine. But yes, once again, a very obvious setup in my mind. Um, strong contraction, really good bounce off the 10-day. And then yeah, Monday it just takes off again on
And
very strong volume.
also, I guess if you look further back, there's a pretty clear one here.
Oh, on the start of October?
2nd of October, yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean yeah. I mean that's very clear, and it had that nice run up in the end of August, and then it based for a long time, the whole
Yeah.
month of September basically,
Yeah, just
and then boom.
cruising the 20-day, really.
Yeah,
And got really
yeah. I
tight
mean, yeah,
also here.
It's like that's why I said like these charts, oh my God, they're so obvious in hindsight. It's just making sure that you're scanning through and finding these things.
Yeah. Because this also on that breakout on 2nd of October had good volume. I'm sure it had it straight from the beginning. And then if you were in it, the next day would make your day, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And this were all news driven. This move up on Monday also was they cut in line for some improvement of some drug or something like that. I don't even remember. And then comes the analyst and raise the raise the price target.
Smart.
Yeah,
Another brilliant analyst.
yeah. Bitcoin climbing a bit, touching almost the 50-day now. Let's see what's that gonna happen. All right, I think I don't have so much more for the week, but I right now I'm positive for the end of the year here actually. And historically, you know, September and October has been known to be a bit tricky. I think September didn't deliver. It didn't live up to that rumor this year because September was quite good. But October is maybe a bit more tricky than September was at least. Now comes soon November and December, and I hope we can see things go higher.
Yeah, but doesn't that make you just think we're like that's why I said it just seems that much more bullish. Like we should have been in almost in a resistance like
Yeah, no, I agree.
seasonality.
Yeah,
And the NASDAQ is just pushing higher, which makes me
yeah,
think like this is gonna run. I don't think we're gonna go down here.
yeah.
So I'm like I said, I'm gonna focus on those really strong setups and make sure that I'm not doing anything crazy. But besides that, I think this is where some money can be made at the end of the year here, hopefully.
In September, the Nasdaq went up almost 8%.
Yeah, that's a wild number.
Yeah,
And like it has been choppy, don't get me wrong. There's
yeah.
there's some pullbacks in there.
It's not been easy. Like and it's so frustrating when you get stopped out, and then you log off, you know, and then you watch it later, and it's up 20% or more, which happens a lot now. But yeah, I'm still a bit careful though. I have to say, Dane, I'm still a bit careful, but I kind of have to jump in with some position if I see something that I like, and that I have now twisted the process also, you know, to try to filter out as much noise as I can. But if an opportunity comes and you see the setup, you see the volume, you like the group, you like maybe there's some news, you should still take it. You know, it would be very stupid to sit out completely now, even if you see a lot of things that you like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it should be somewhat obvious. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, so like the Friday before when everything tanked, like that day after, yeah, you got to be pretty hesitant. You gotta kind of watch what the
Yeah,
market does. Because if people start buying back in, you'll watch it start to find the next base, almost immediately. If it continues to tank, then that's where you're like, all right, put everything on hold and kind of wait until we can find something positive to go off of.
yeah.
You know, so
But now new
even
all-time highs. So
yeah, we're at all-time highs now. I mean, it's crazy.
and the last 2 days also, you know, above average volume in the Nasdaq here, and it has been climbing actually. So it shows very few signs to all of a sudden change, but it can still do that. But just need to go day by day.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought. But either way, doesn't matter. Focus on setups. That's
Yeah,
that's my big thing here. And I just gotta get that risk profile set, and then I honestly I keep going back and forth with the sol rules, but after doing so much, just going back and forth on the right way to do it, and you know, I think that Minervini, I know I actually most of the guys say it, but that idea of instead of trying to pick like two really set rules, I'm gonna look for when my risk to reward starts to get up like 2 or 3 times whatever my initial risk was. So let's say I'm using 0.25% for risk. As the actual position's up like 0.75 or something like that, I'll probably start to trim there, and then I'll let the rest of that ride. And based on just the numbers I seen, um, if you only have to catch a few of those 10-day moving average ones. And then you'll get the Qualamagi type returns on top of the Minervini, little slams that he does all the time.
Yeah.
But
I think
another thing I was thinking in terms of just finding these quality setups, like I was talking to ChatGPT, and it was saying like, find me very specific instances where they've talked about the number of trades they take. And I think Minervini on his it was like 100 at one point he had posted on Twitter that he had taken like between like 150 and 200 trades, which gives you the idea. Like Minervini does like literally like maybe a trade a day. I'm sure it
in a
doesn't
year,
work
you
like
mean?
that. What's up?
Was that in a year?
Yes, in a year. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and don't get me wrong, he's not doing one trade a day. He's doing probably 2 or 3 on like days he really likes things.
Yeah.
And then not doing anything for, probably a day or 2 or however it works out. So
Yeah.
I'm sure on a day like Friday or even Thursday for that matter, where it kind of bounces a little bit, he's probably taking a couple trades that day.
Yeah.
So that's obviously one thing. And then I there was some posts that people had said that Qualamagi had said things. So I don't know if that's in his videos or not. But apparently, like on 1 year, he said he had taken 800 trades. And I know he's much more apt to take more trades. He says he's a chronic trader, and that's like one of his downfalls, but also probably one of the reasons he has success. But that would give you the idea that he's probably taken almost 3 to 4 trades some days or most days, which is arguably more my style. I kind of tend to
Yeah, no, I
to,
agree.
to take a few bit, and that's just because especially in these volatile stocks, like a lot of times you get in 2 or 3 names, and one of those work. So
Yeah. And you get a
it's just
lot
a
of
little bit easier.
I am here. I've listened to him on one stream where he he had those sections where he critiqued people in the chat. They could come with a ticker, and he would say what he thought about it. And I just remember that he was very negative towards one guy there, and he said something like, if you think this is a good setup and you are losing a lot of trades, you should definitely go back to just trading one name per day. So for him, one name per day was a very low amount of trades for a week.
Yeah. And I will say, if you're trading one trade a day, obviously it's going to be what you would consider a good setup. I would think it's almost a perfect setup to you. And on top of that, it allows you to really kind of like time it, focus on a lot of different factors. Like if you're doing one trade a day, you should be able to look up, the quick fundamentals of that stock. You should be
Yeah.
able to get a pretty good entrance in, and really kind of calculate your risk very carefully. Where are you going to set that low that you're going to get stopped out on? Whether that's the daily chart or the intraday chart, that's up to you. But I think there's really strong merit in that. And also, you could take 4 trades in a week, which isn't a lot. And if they're all on really quality setups, and even if 2 or 3 of those fail, you should be down a very little amount. So like each week, the most you're losing is like 1%. And that's it's kind of and like I said, if you have one that wins, you make all that back and hopefully more, depending on how well it worked out. So that's a really easy way mentally to do this without spending hours and hours doing this.
Yeah. I also remember I read I think it was the second Minervini book, where he has a table that shows a month of his trading. And I remember I was thinking, oh, he's taking actually very few names if this is a month.
Yeah, I think I know the table you're talking about, and I think I did the math on it, and I didn't know how accurate that was. I think that was
Yeah,
just an
no,
example.
yeah, I was,
But either way, I think he's illustrating like what it could look like for him.
yeah, yeah.
But all right, I think I'm good here. If you want to end this.
Yeah, no, I've been through all lists and all. It's, you know, I'm just. I hope we start up on Monday, because I will get stopped out on a couple of positions if we are down, I think.
Yeah, it'll be if this tanks again. Like I said, I just got in those names at the end of last week, so
Yeah, I
it
was
could
thinking,
be
because
tough.
I read somewhere, I don't remember where I saw it, but when you go from a full cash position and into the market again, you should earn some you should get some traction on your trades and not jump into, you know,
Too many names.
too many names. And I feel kind of like that's what I did Thursday and Friday. So let's see, maybe I get some learning experience again.
Yeah, no, I do think that's the right approach, because the other thing too is, you know, it's tough when you're not in the market and all of a sudden you try and hop back in.
Yeah,
You have like this feeling of like you're kind of out of things. You know, you're
yeah,
not like, everything feels like unstable at that initial entry with a few names.
yeah,
So if you can get one or two names that, like you said, get traction, then it makes it a lot easier for you to start to add names
yeah.
and feel like
Slowly
all of a
getting
sudden
in
you're
again.
like, okay, I'm back watching everything and I'm on top of what I want to be and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Let's see.
all right, guys.
Yeah, see you then. Are you good for next weekend? You know that?
Let me think. What is next weekend?
Oh, it's
I think
Halloween, so
so. Hopefully, I have my computer back up and I'm back
yeah,
up. I'll be posting market strength again. Like I said, I have my numbers on here, but they're not. They're just like the numbers. So I don't have the percentages. I don't have them compared to the other numbers. So it's kind of, I'm kind of shooting in the dark here a little bit. So that's part of the reason I felt so out of it. And then last week I had a bunch of stuff to do all week, so I was busy. And
yeah,
I also, if I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but I got I lost my voice, and I don't know if it's a cold or allergies or whatever it is, but it's been just a rough week for me. So
yeah.
um,
I hope you
it's
get better then.
hopefully
Mm,
hopefully I'll get my computer fixed tonight. That's my goal, is to get it fixed.
yeah,
Um, but I have to buy a heat gun and all this stuff. I got to take my BIOS off the actual chip and reprogram it. So hopefully it all goes smoothly. Um, and I'll get that fixed tonight, so I finally log back on. And like
yeah.
I don't have any of my spreadsheets, so I feel totally off.
That sucks a lot. But no more video games for you, that's for sure.
No, doesn't. You know, someday.
Yeah. All right. See you then.
All right, guys.
All right.
Hope everybody enjoyed. Till next week.
Bye.